Cynthia, I was just wondering, so what led you to use the Enneagram as a resource to coach your clients?
I think as just like you love Enneagram.
Yeah.
I think for every one of us, once we've learned Enneagram, we just fell in love with Enneagram.
Yeah.
And for me, it's the same.
You too, eh?
Yes. So from 2008, I've learned Enneagram. And after that, I use the Enneagram as a lens to look at everything. And then because I'm doing voice, it just happened naturally that I use that. And gradually, actually, I find that it's really, there are a lot of links in these two.
Really? Cynthia, how is the Enneagram used in voice coaching?
Okay. Now, usually, I will listen to people's voice. And then because actually voice is our identity.
Yeah.
And voice reflects everything happens inside.
Yes.
And just like Enneagram.
Yeah.
So when I listen to people's voice, I can actually kind of identify what their Enneagram types are.
Wow.
And then from there, because I know every type, they all have their own challenges.
Yes.
And they all have their own strength as well.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Is that like a gift? Like, do you think you're gifted with this, or if you could teach someone a skill like this, would you be able to transfer that skill?
Yes, that's a good question. And then like Brian Tracy said, he said that everything is learnable.
Wow.
It's just because for me, it happened to me for the past few years. I listened too much, and then it becomes a habit. But once actually, I am actually thinking how I can transfer that skill to people,
Yes.
which is learnable.
Yes.
And
yeah, I don't know why, I just feel excited to ask you these questions, so if you don't mind me interjecting into your speech.
Yeah.
But for example, say I'm of a certain type, right? And I'm say a 7. And for the audience who's listening to this, if they know what a 7 is, what does a 7 sound like?
okay, now I would still say that because voice is unique.
Yeah.
Everyone's voice is unique.
Right.
So for people who haven't been trained, and even for me, when I listen to the 7s, all the 7s, you'll find that they sound different.
Oh.
On the surface level, they sound different.
Yeah.
But what actually we are looking at is the texture of the voice.
Wow.
And for example, type 7,
Yes.
the voice will not be the same as type 1.
Okay.
Type 1, the most type 1s, their voice is the force in the voice.
Yes.
It's very strong.
I see.
Either type 1 can be high-pitched, can be low-pitched, but they all have the strength, very strong strength in their voice.
Oh, that's a gift to be able to know this.
Yeah.
Cynthia, so what's the biggest breakthrough you achieved with your client when you combined the Enneagram with your voice coaching?
Okay, I would say that the breakthroughs are not for me to achieve. It is really the breakthrough in the clients. So one of them is a type 1.
Oh.
So for type 1 is, as I mentioned earlier on, is they use a lot of force
Yes.
in their voice. So when I pointed out to them, and then they realized not only just using the force in the voice, but also because of the way they look at things,
Yes.
the way they focus. As you also know that the ones they focus on error.
Yes.
So because they focus on error, so they always actually look very serious, and they look quite harsh.
Yes.
So that's where, from the voice, they realize, oh, this is how I actually speak, how I actually look at the world.
So in fact, it gives them a much richer awareness of how they're speaking,
Yes.
right? On that note, Cynthia, I'm just wondering, since you said ones use a lot of force when they speak, how is that force different from the type 8's kind of force?
Okay. So the force, for 1, is a force is inside.
Oh.
Is inside.
Right.
But for 8, it's they behave
Outside.
out.
Right.
The voice behave out. And then for 8s, some of the 8s, their voice, you can hear, is quite provocative.
That's true.
But it's different from the ones.
Yes. Because 8's use body.
Yeah.
And the 8's use their body out, as
Yeah.
opposed to ones which use their body in.
Yes.
And because they keep it in. Right? That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.